feet apart, and then in this way will not get into trouble. And keep your masks. אשרי האיש אשר לא הלך בעצת רשעים ובדרך חטאים לא עמד ובמושב לצים לא ישב. כי בתורת אדוני חפצו ותורתו יהגה יומם ולילה. והיה כעת שתול על פלגי מים אשר פריו ייתן בעיתו ועלהו לא ייבול וכל אשר יעשה יצליח. לא כן הרשעים כי אם כמוץ אשר תדפנו רוח. על כן לא יקומו רשעים במשפט וחטאים בעדת צדיקים. כי יודע אדוני דרך צדיקים ודרך רשעים תאבד. מזמור לדוד, אדוני מי יגור באוהליך, מי ישכון בהר קודשך. הולך תמים ופועל צדק, ודובר אמת בלבבו. לא רגל על לשונו, לא עשה לרעהו רעה, וחרפה לא נשא על קרובו. נבזה בעיניו נמאס, ואת יראה אדוני יכבד. נשבע להרע ולא ימיר, כספו לא נתן בנשך, ושוחד הנקי לא לקח. עושה אלה לא ימות לעולם. Now from Rabbi Shimon to read chapter 23 in Hebrew and in English.
מזמור לדוד. אדוני רואי לא אחסר, בינות דשא ירביצני, על מי מנוחות ינעלני. נפשי ישובב וינחני במעגלי צדק למען שמו. גם כי ילך בגיא המוות, לא ירא כי אתה עמדי. שבטך ומשענתך המה ינחמוני. תארך לפני שולחן נגד צוררי. נשענת בשם מראשי כוסי רוויה. אך טוב וחסד ידפוני כל ימי חיי. ושבתי בעץ אדוני לאורך ימים. A song of David. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not lack. God causes me to lie down in lush pastures. God leads me beside tranquil waters. God restores my soul and guides me in the paths of righteousness, in the paths of God, for God's name's sake. Though I walk through the valley of shadow of death, I feel no evil. For you're with me, your scepter and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in full view of my adversaries. You have anointed my head with oil. My cup overflows. May only goodness and kindness pursue me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord for the length of the days.
First of all, I would like to offer my condolences to Sandy, mention his sister Sherry Davis, who just passed away in January, the granddaughters, and Danny's sister Audrey Spivak, and the grandchildren, Reina, who is Sherry Davis' daughter, and your husband Jesse Davis, and Anna and Mitch Gecht, Rachel Seiger and Adam, Sarah Seiger and Eric, and Leonore Krantz. You see, I met Sandy's father and your grandfather, Danny Seiger, a short time after I met Sandy. But really where I got to know him was at the first bat mitzvah that took place in Solon Chabad. The first bat mitzvah was the bat mitzvah of Anna and Rachel Seiger. And the bat mitzvah was in a party room in Solon. It was before we had the building, before we had anything. And it was a beautiful bat mitzvah. The girls spoke and they did the service. And I was speaking, and Sandy, and the mother, and then grandfather started to speak, came up to speak. See, Danny Seiger had a strong voice, was like a radio speaker, and he was strong and big, and he started to give a speech. It was like a State of the Union address. He was going on and on and on, and he was speaking how much he loves his granddaughters, and he has a message to tell them. And I was, a young rabbi just starting, and I didn't know how we're going to get out of this. And the crowd is sitting, was a big party room, was a big crowd, it was full. And it was, but eventually, it was over. You see, Sandy, everybody knows Sandy Seiger, because anybody who comes to visit Solon Chabad hears him announcing the pages. Yesterday in a class, I was in a few classes yesterday on Zoom, and one person tells the other one, "You don't know who Sandy is? The guy who announced the pages." And some of them even imitated how Sandy is announcing the pages. Then Sandy yesterday told me we got this commitment to showing up. Said when he was a child, his family went to Florida for a vacation. They went to a mall, and suddenly his father disappeared. I'm sure it wasn't so unusual for your father to disappear. I can just imagine how many times he did it to you guys. He came 20 minutes later and he said that upstairs was a minion, and they called him to be the 10th person to make up the minion. And he says since then he had the feeling that if somebody needs a minion, he will make sure he should be at least the 10th person. He should make sure there's a minion. Then Sandy joined us for a minion 25 years ago, probably, I don't know, 23 years ago, whatever it was. And since then he's making the minion every day, again and again. And I want to mention, when I talk about Sandy, about his sister who passed away just in January. I'm sure your father took it very hard. It was very sad, but thank God we have a granddaughter with us here, with us, Reina. What's clear is Danny, your father, was a person that if met a person once, this person will never forget him. Just because he was not just meeting him. You know, it was like, there is a famous rabbi in the Talmudic history. The rabbi who was the leader of the time of the destruction of the Second Temple. His name was Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. One of the compliments that the Talmud gives him, what was so unique about him? That he was the first one to say hello to every person he met. It never happened that somebody said hello to him before he was the first one to say it. That was Danny Seiger. In any person he met, he said hello. But it wasn't just an hello. It was an hello. It was like, he talked with them for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and he remembered them. But it was always about the other person. Reina told me, yes, we had a Zoom meeting and with the grandchildren and Barbara and Sandy. It was actually a very nice meeting. And Reina told me yesterday that she remembers he used to take them to the movies. They used to have to leave 45 minutes earlier because he spoke to every person he met. It was the person who sold him the ticket. He had a conversation with this lady, and then until he made it to the movie, probably was in the middle of the movie by that time. But it was all about other people. Anna told me that she was every Sunday, all the grandchildren used to go with Grandpa, spend time with them. And even when they grew up and they were not going to have fun with them or to a restaurant, he used to call every one of them separately by the age. It was Reina, then it was Anna, then it was Rachel, then it was Sarah. He called to every one of them. And if they didn't get a phone call, they were worried. What's wrong? Why didn't call? Because for him, his grandchildren were everything. But not just his grandchildren. And his extended family used to send them cards and send them little checks and care for them and reach out to every one of them. And he had albums in his house, all the pictures and everybody in the family. He kept every card that he got from every one of them. It was very important to him. But the granddaughters were even more. Sandy told me yesterday that when he was just now in the hospital, every nurse used to walk in, need to hear a story of every granddaughter separately. And everyone had a separate story. I told them, thank God they had only 4 granddaughters. If not, he would be alive, I believe, by now, because he would still tell stories. They all enjoyed them. Sarah mentioned yesterday an interesting thing, that if you tell them that you like a certain ice cream, then since then, every time you came to the house, the freezer was full of this ice cream. And he fed you so much that you didn't like the ice cream anymore. The next time you were afraid to tell them that you like something because it was coming on you more and more and more, and you were not comfortable to tell them, I had already, I don't like it anymore. They had to send Sandy to tell them that, let's reduce the amount of ice cream or whatever it is. Although Rachel said something very interesting. He was the glue of the family. He cared for everyone in the family. But more importantly, she said he had a heart of gold. And that was very true. He was such a person. He always cared for everybody. And he made sure that everybody feels good. And it's not that life was easy for him. And Mitch, Anna's husband, when he came into the family, every party they went, They used to sit them next to Grandpa. They already suffered enough. They already heard all the story. Now it's your turn to suffer. Take it and enjoy it. And that's the right thing to do. Because when you have a new person, you didn't hear the story, go hear the story at least 5 times, then come and tell us how enjoyable the experience is. You know, in the parsha of this week, we read about Joseph. And there's a famous story how he's in jail, and the butler and the baker are in jail too. In one morning, the butler wakes and the baker wake up and they're in a bad mood. And Joseph is asking them, why are you in a bad mood? And the question is strange. You ask somebody in jail why he's in a bad mood? Why not? Most of the people in the world who wake up in the morning, they're in a bad mood. Forget about being in jail. Until you squeeze a smile out of them, is an effort. Is not before lunch. You're in jail. But Joseph, that Judaism tells us, was such an optimistic person. He was always in a good mood, even if he was sold by his own brothers to a slave. Not enough to be a slave, he ended up in a jail. He never knew he'll ever can come out from there. He was still an optimistic person. That was Danny Seiger. He was an optimistic person, always up to date. Even he lost his wife 25 years ago. Life was not easy for him. He had physical things that were out for him. And he overcome everything. And I told Sandy a few weeks ago, I knew him, that he has such an optimistic side to him. I believed he will pull himself out of it. I'm sure if he would be able to have family around, would be a whole different story. He died. The funeral is Erev Hanukkah just now. Tonight is the first candle. Hanukkah is eight candles. In Judaism, Kabbalah tells us that 7 is the symbol of nature. God created the world in 7 days. The cycle of nature. 8 is above nature, represents miracles. Your father, your grandfather, was 88, twice 8. He was larger than life, above nature. He didn't care. He was a miracle person. He lived to be 88. It's a miracle. He lived with all his issues. He lived to be 88 and had a good life and enjoyed life. He was something larger than life. And now we learn from the grandchildren. Encourage all of them to speak. Whoever wants to speak, we'll start with Sandy. Sandy is speaking first, then we'll go with the grandchildren.
Thank you, Rabbi. You described my father so nicely and so accurately. He was just a kind man. And that was one of the things that he taught me. He said it doesn't cost anything to be kind. If you want something back, if you want something for free, just give somebody a smile. And you're going to get a smile back. And it didn't cost anything. His optimism was just unbelievable. When he was in the hospital, he was talking about how he's going to be coming home. It never dawned on him that his life was going to end from this illness. It never dawned on him. And I want to tell you something. I've got a couple friends here that know my parents from when we were in elementary school. Billy's here, Matt's here, Scott Brody and I have been together since we were in kindergarten. They know my father. They're here out of the respect, not for me, because of my father. He enjoyed my friends. He enjoyed the visits. He just enjoyed people. He had such a zest for life. Kindness, happiness, education. He always told me, somebody can take anything from you, everything from you, except what's up here. Go learn, never stop learning. And he passed that on to me. His happiness was contagious. He just loved people. It was all about the people, and the kindness I already told you about. His granddaughters, as the rabbi said, were the love of his life. My mother, may she rest in peace. He adored her, absolutely adored her. And it was so devastating when my sister died in January, but you know what? He continued. He didn't understand it. And he asked and said, I can't get my head around it. He said, but life goes on. He says, I'm alive, you're alive, grandchildren, friends. He never quit. He's got a couple friends here today that he's known for a long time. Buddy and Joni would always call him every day. And I know that they will miss him tremendously. And Lenore Krantz has been with my father for 25 years. Her husband, may he rest in peace, Maish, some people know him as Mort Krantz, I know him as Maish, died about 6 months before my mom. And after my mom died, Lenore and my father became companions. And what was so beautiful about that was they would talk about Maish. Lenore would talk about Maish and she'd cry, and my dad would talk about my mom and he'd cry, and it was okay. They were rocks together. And I know she will miss him dearly. And her family brought him in as a part of the family. The boys were just so good to him, and the daughters-in-law. Rabbi mentioned that today is the first night of Hanukkah. And when I was a little boy, I went to Hebrew school 3 days a week. Are you kidding? Junior elementary school, and I've got to go. My friends are playing. I've got to go to Hebrew school 3 days a week, and the history test. I didn't want a D, so I was really happy when I got C's on the history test. But you know what? Look around. Look at us. Seriously, look at us. Look at our history is right here, and we light the first candle tonight of the miracle of Hanukkah. The Maccabee, they were not going to let us die. They could have just given up. They could have just said, okay, we'll be okay if we just give up Judaism. They would not give up their Judaism. And it's been passed on from them, Lador Vador, from generation to generation, and here we are today. It's not just something that happened way back then. That was my Hebrew school history, something that happened way back then. We're going to light that candle tonight. And it's a miracle. And my father and my mother, they passed that on. And we were so blessed, we're passing it on. And keep that light going. Keep that menorah lit. Generation to generation, the door by door. And I'm blessed to have you all here. It is a great testament to who my father was and who he will be. He's going to be up there. He's going to be with my mom. He's going to be with my sister. And Dad, tell Maish to be patient. We're not done with Lenore down here. God bless you all. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Raina. Thanks. I wanted to start by thanking my Uncle Sandy. He's truly his father's son. You've been so kind and compassionate. You took such good care of him and my mom, and especially over the last year of me. I'm always gonna miss my grandfather and my mother. But they're really my foundation. They're all of our foundations. My mom always knew that she could take on anything. She could do anything, no matter how hard it was, because her parents were there to help and support her, and I was raised to know the same thing. My grandfather was so supportive. He dove into a number of dumpsters to look for a retainer that I'd lost, just kept losing it, and he kept digging through trash to find it because he knew that my mother would struggle to replace it. And that, like so many other adventures and stories, became the things that he and I talked about endlessly this year, it seems, when in the most difficult moments he would encourage me to remember just the happy and fun memories we all had together with my mom. And now I get to remember him. We're very lucky that we have known him and had him for so long, and I remember him dedicating afternoons to taking me to dollar movies and having lunch, spending hours telling me stories over spring breaks, schlepping me to Cedar Point and finding strangers willing to take me on rides, driving around to fling garbage or find the cheapest gas, and pulling Grandma close to slow dance in their kitchen while he screamed, "What now, my love?" Bibbidi bobbidi boo. So Sundays will obviously never be the same, but those memories will carry us through, and I'll think of them every Sunday when his call should come in. But thank you all for being here and helping us remember him.
I am blessed to love and to learn and to rest and to stand on the backs of giants. My papa was my giant, and so are all of my ancestors. Papa has always had a giant heart, making room for love and sensitivity, and always mishpacha. Mishpacha, family, was always omnipresent. Papa also had a giant head, a humble giant head filled with creativity, stories, and big dreams. Dreams that were manifested through courage and conviction, taking a leap of faith and trusting, always trusting that it'll work out. And even when things didn't work out the way he hoped. He didn't let life knock him down. He stood tall and proud and kept keeping on. I like to think that every day I'm becoming a little bit braver with the love and support of my papa. Papa always shrugged off the small things and kept a clear mind of what's really important in life. Mishpacha, love, connection, generosity, and of course Judaism. He shared that love with everyone, as we've all mentioned, his family and friends, and also neighbors. The mail lady who delivered his paper, the nurses and doctors who took care of him, the waiters and waitresses at Corky and Lenny's and Jack's, pancakes and omelets and all, and his caregiver, mother, from Jewish Family Services. With his vibrant laughter and his non-stop kibitzing, Papa knew how to enjoy the company of others and how to connect with every human he came in contact with. It's truly what fed him. Dancing and singing his way through life, Papa was the ultimate romantic, with a capital R. Papa truthfully was in lust, flirtatious relationship with life itself. I trust that Papa is now dancing his way through the universe with our Grandma Marcia and beloved Aunt Sherry. If you look up Mention the dictionary, you'll find Papa's name, with roots that will continue to extend well beyond his years. The seeds he sowed continue to cultivate and grow in all of us. And as we nurture those seeds and tend to our own gardens, we remember that all of the blooming flowers are kissed and blessed with the love Papa shared with all of us. I know I will always be his favorite second youngest granddaughter. Thank you for being here. I know it's a hard time, and I know it's even just hard to decide, when to show up and when not to, because it's a scary world, but we appreciate you all coming here. To my sweet, sweet Papa. Although my heart is heavy, I am at ease knowing that you passed peacefully. I will forever feel grateful that I was able to spend these last few days by your side, holding your hand. You our incredibly loved Papa. I have always said how popular you were, and I was definitely right about that. From friends to families to neighbors and even strangers, everyone always spoke highly of you. You treated everyone you met with so much kindness and put a smile on everyone's face. Even at Menorah Park, not one but two employees that I saw this week recognized Papa and remembered him from past times, and remembered him as a lively, enthusiastic man who constantly spoke about his grandchildren. Your life revolved around family and connecting with others. You always thrived on times with family and cherished every moment with us. Well, let me tell you, I cherished every moment as well. Whether it was going to the art museum, piano concerts, even though we were too young to appreciate them and ended up talking the whole time, riding around in your Lincoln, going to Red Robin and always ordering the towering onion rings, watching us play at the Coventry playground for hours, going to the deli or kibitzing for hours in your home. Those are all memories that I hold onto very tightly. You will always be my favorite Papa and my favorite storyteller. I will miss your weekly Sunday calls, but I know you are still near and will always be close to my heart. Now enjoy your endless Papa Stundes, and your busy bee loves you very much. And thank you everyone for coming.
We'll say now the more service, Kel Male Rachamim. אל מלא רחמים, שוכן במרומים, אמצעי מנוחה נכונה על כנפי השכינה, ממעלות קדושים וטהורים כזוהר הרקיע מזהירים, את נשמת דניאל אלתר בן יצחק שהלך לעולמו, בעבור שאנחנו מתפללים בעד הזכרת נשמתו, בגן עדן תהא מנוחתו. לכן בעל הרחמים יסתירהו בסתר כנפיו לעולמים, ויצרור בצרור החיים את נשמתו, אדוני הוא נחלתו, ינוח בשלום על משכבו, ונאמר אמן. God, full of compassion, who dwells on high, grant proper repose and the sheltering wings of your presence in the lofty levels of the holy and pure, who shine as the brightness of the firmament, and to the soul of Daniel Alter ben Yitzchak, son of Yitzchak, who has gone to his world, and for his memory we pray. May his repose be in paradise. May the Master of Compassion bring him under the cover of God's wing and bind his soul in the bound of life. May the Lord be his heritage, and may he repose in his resting place in peace. And let us say Amen.
Amen.
And now we're going to lower the casket, and then everyone will have a chance to cover up the grave.
I need you
It's
to
a big
step out
mitzvah.
from underneath the tent, please. Someone first. gonna ask you to clean the grill here so the machine can come around. Put that. You have to put that back.
We'll ask for family and friends to come now and to cover the grave. And also tonight it's going to be Shiva, Zoom Shiva tonight from 5 to 7. And then by 7:30 we'll have it Solon Chabad, we'll have a minyan for Marif tonight, as well as Sunday, Monday and Tuesday, 7:30 it's Solon Chabad. The other hours for the Zoom and during the week, I don't remember exactly, I don't want to confuse you. What time is the other days?
Sunday.
Please.
So Zoom, Shiva, Friday from noon to 2. Sunday, also from noon to 2.
Thank you.
They give us Zoom address.
It's all sent out already.
If you like to begin shoveling, those who wish
please.
to help in the mitzvah of filling in the grave, come forward.
Don't be bashful. It's a great mitzvah. And I'd be honored to have you do that.
Which is good, I guess.
It's filed.
In the deep file.
Yeah, exactly.
Still learning. Shouldn't have judgment.
Got your back, brother. Put it down. Put it down. Send out an email.
Yeah, Rana asked.
Yeah, can you just take it down? Ask if you can take this down. See this? See this? Yeah. And you can take this down, he said? What do you want? We are now going to recite the Kaddish. Girls?
Yikadal v'yikadash shmei rabah.
Amen.
Yomad yibrach v'yisei v'yamlichmal v'yisei v'yitzmach v'kanei v'karei v'shitei.
Amen.
V'yachol v'yachol Beit Yisrael v'adarav v'zman kariv yimru amen.
Amen.
Yehei shmei rabah v'barach v'elam amen.
Olam ve'omer umayo yizborech.
Yehei shmei rabah v'barach v'elam amen maya. Yisarech yistabach yipa'er v'yeman yitnaseh. Yedatar v'yehalev v'yehalal shmei v'kedeshab
Very cool.
Amen.
Ye'elam yimtal v'chasav v'shurasa tishvachashav v'nefanasav v'amiran v'yamav v'yimru amen.
Amen.
Yehei shlama rabba amin shmaya v'chayim alenu v'yakal Yisrael v'yimru amen.
Amen.
Yaseh shalom b'bramav v'yaseh shalom alenu v'yakal Yisrael v'yimru amen.
Amen.
Now we'll ask from everybody to make 2 lines where the mourners can go in.